Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the On Time, On Target Morning Brief, where we invest in fighter pilot precision on a daily basis. Our topic for today is Roblox. So if you checked your portfolios this morning, and this happens to be a major holding for you, it's very reminiscent. I shouldn't try words I can't say in the morning, but it reminds me of yesterday with DraftKings with my portfolio that took a pretty big hit. Well, today it's Roblox, so we're going to talk about what's going on, which is basically they're down about 10% this morning. Very similar to DraftKings as far as it meets our day trading criteria to short, but just like you saw with DraftKings yesterday, way too strong of a name to try to hop in short against this thing because people are buying it left and right. But it's was down about 10%, has bounced up to where it's only down about 7%. And similar to DraftKings yesterday, was down 10% and then really went up to, I think it closed only down 4%, which is still a lot, but pretty big bounce for the day. So if anything, it's a buy here, but that's what we're going to talk about. What's hitting it is the storyline that they reported for May. They have 43 million daily active users. So put your brain around that for a second. 43 million daily active users, and the stock gets hit because that's down from 43.3 million in April, right? That's largely how the investing world works. You see stuff like that all over the place, as far as if a number drops, even if it's a ridiculously large number, just the fact that the number went down is kind of crazy. As far as spending was slightly down from a year earlier. Well, a year ago, we were sitting in the middle of a pandemic. So, of course, the spending is going to be down some. But we're going to take a look at the chart. We're going to say, is it a buy, sell, or hold today? So that's what we're going to take a look at. I see the chat blowing up with some GM electric vehicle stuff. So we'll talk about that once we get the show opened here. But I've also got longs and shorts in the room. I don't like any of this. There is really pretty low volume. My researcher this morning says like volume's low across the board. Pretty much everybody's waiting for the Fed meeting announcement, right? So kind of a slow morning. I don't anticipate getting a day trade in, but we'll throw some stuff out there for you, and I'll call it if I see it. If I see it set up correctly, which right now none of them are, and you'll see that here in a second. If you're catching us on replay, remember, subscribe and notification bell. If you want to join us live, what you don't see is a chat window and a Q&A window for people to ask me questions real time, which I'll answer for you. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. All right, welcome back, everybody. Make sure you have your Q&A window and your chat window set up appropriately. Standard disclaimer applies. This is a financial education presentation. Do your own due diligence for acting upon anything you hear this morning. Full disclaimer information is available at ototnow.com. All right, mission objectives for today, Wednesday, June 16th. Grow our money, protect our money, and live off our money. Today is definitely a grow our money theme, as we're looking for to try to find the next Microsoft, right? Trying to find a company that can grow an average 20-30% a year. What has that kind of growth rate? Well, I think we've got a winner here with Roblox. So we're going to take a look at the chart, where it's been, and I'll give you my thoughts on where it is going. And I'll say buy, sell, or hold. Yeah, it's a buy here. You can add more, if you already have like way too much of it, right? So for portfolio management, I use 25%, as you cannot have any individual holding go over 25%. The only things that generally bounce off of that are major holdings like Apple, Amazon's another one, Google, Home Depot, Boeing, those sorts of things. But when you have a speculative stock like Roblox, it can, if it doubles or triples, start hitting against that stop. Well, certainly you don't have to worry about it today because it's actually selling off. So you can buy more unless you really just have a crazy amount of it already in your portfolio. All right, we're also going to talk about what is DGI investing, which is definitely not Roblox because it didn't offer a dividend. But it's good to think about as we head into a potential challenging market scenario of, reminders of, we got inflation out there and taxes maybe increasing down the road, right? It's kind of the theme for the end of 2021. We said that in January. Well, we're about to enter the second half of 21, so we do have to start paying attention to some of that stuff, and that to take risk out of your portfolio, you can add DGI names, which stands for dividend growth investing. So we'll talk about the math behind that and kind of the beauty of it. It's almost a cult, if you will. I mean, you need to believe how you invest. I'm probably in a technology cult investing, theme-based investing cult myself, because that's the way you get the most upside. But you certainly have to. There are folks out there that live and die by DGI, and good on them. And we'll talk about that. Our flow today: long, short, open, short, long. We'll take a market review, headline review. We're in about flat across the board at the open here. A lonely long-term investment we're going to take a look about is RBLX, and we'll get into the details there. Well, for the short-term execution, let me put these in the window again. We do have some longs. BCTX, MNKD are both biotech names, and then we have TRCH is a meme stock. If you want to hop in on that, that one's been in play. Not going to short Roblox, even though it meets our criteria. EDU, TAL, and LRN are all Chinese education names. I'll tell you the storyline there. And then Oracle got hit off our earnings this morning. Standard contingencies and academic resources are standard as well. Let's go over and take a look at TD Ameritrade. Here I have it set up for the BCTX long. That's my favorite long. I don't like the fact that it's was here at 7, it's down to 650, so we'll have to take a look at it at the open. And then the short, Roblox, the one we're talking about today, again, don't short into this. I would not recommend that at all. If anything, it's a buy this morning, but I have the chart pulled up, and then EDU is my favorite of the 3 Chinese education names. You can see that chart's pretty nice, right, as far as a short. So we'll be taking a look at that closely here at the open. All right, as far as where we are with the market, again, slightly off yesterday, a little bit, not significant, but still in that major uptrend. You see all these uptrend lines, and again, continuing higher, assuming the Fed doesn't say anything crazy today at the Fed minute release and Fed announcement. Again, that's 2 p.m. Eastern, so it'll be low volume up into that, and then we'll see some crazy trading after that. Even if nothing happens, which is the expectation, I do expect the market to move higher at that point. When you look at the 5-day and the SPY, really nothing notable here to report. All right, we'll go over to CNBC, take a look at the headlines. I do want to catch up with the chat real quick. So refresh. So there is where we stand, mixed here with the futures. Let's take a look up here at what's going on. Mary Barra, that's her right there on CNBC. She is the CEO of GM and has really done a pretty amazing job. I think most everybody would agree with that. Oh, Apex worked at GM in the 90s, and you had an EV. Well, that's going to imagine. Yeah, if they would have stuck with that, wow, right? That would have been the game changer if GM was the one leading the charge. Get it? Okay, no, all right, too early. Wake up, everybody. This documentary out there, who killed the EV. Yeah, I know you're an EV driver. I am not. Been kind of a motorhead over the years, sort of thing. So I don't see that changing anytime soon. But I do know that people love them, and certainly my friends that have bought them cannot shut up about them. So it's kind of annoying, but good for them that they love their cars. So, all right. Ooh, I just saw this. We're not at headlines yet, but I just saw Kathy Wood buying 42 million in DraftKings. The Napoleon Dynamite. I just want to do the yes. Right. Thank you, Kathy, for hopping in and propping up the stock. It did bounce significantly yesterday. I would not be surprised at all if tomorrow we see a Kathy Wood buys $42 million of Roblox on this dip, right? So anyhow, going around the world, and then we'll get back to the headlines. We see we're mixed here in the U.S. Europe is, again, light. Look at that. Hardly moving at all. Asia in the red across the board. Let's see what that headline is. Mixed Asia Pacific trade. I don't see what is driving that, though. Bonds, here you go. So inflation, oh my gosh, the world is over. It's so expensive. Cry, cry, cry. And the 10 years below 1.5. So the 10-year doesn't agree. That was intentional. The honey badger don't care. 10-year don't care about this inflation thing going on. So transitory. It sure looks like it. Now I will say that lumber prices have plummeted. So again, lumber went up like 500% and everybody freaked out because that's what people do. So the 10-year disagrees though. So we'll keep an eye on that day to day. Oil holding above 72, gold and silver are up largely because I'm a buyer. No, I don't move the needle on that stuff. Bitcoin down and back to the headline. So, all right, you see Mary Barra on there pumping GM. Well, that's what she's supposed to do. As far as talking to her company there, you look at the chart of GM. I'm not an investor at GM. I don't have anything really for GM or Ford. I prefer, if you're going to talk to me about the EV space, it's NIO. NIO in China, which is one of Li Automotive, Xpeng, and there's several over there, but I think it's best of breed. I'm not a Tesla investor either. So I do own them all indirectly in a clean energy fund. But as far as a direct holding, not a big fan. All right, DraftKings, boom. Okay, I see that. I like that. Yeah, I think long-term DraftKings is going to be just fine. Analyst calls, I didn't see those. Let's see what we have going on. Generational opportunity in steel. I'm not sure I buy that, but so Biden and Putin are meeting today. I don't expect anything really significant to come out of that. I would be surprised if there is. All right, here's the Federal Reserve policy in face of surging inflation. I think this 10-year below 1.5, the Fed doesn't even have to even acknowledge inflation in this. Mortgage refinance is rebounding. So this is going to be, if you've heard this is your last chance to refi, well, okay, put that on record because you've heard that like 15 times in the past year. But yeah, good time to refi. You're still going to get a 30-year rate right around 3%, a 15-year rate even below that. So kind of crazy low still, which is good for everybody. Okay, let's talk about Bitcoin. Don't see anything else in the headlines there. Excuse me, Bitcoin. Let's talk about Roblox. We're not talking about Bitcoin. Wasted way too much time on that. Do I own GM or Ford bonds though? Boom, Apex calling me out. Yes, I own both significant amounts of them for sure. So when I say I don't own their stock, true, but I do loan money to these companies. I do not think Ford. So what's the difference? Ford pays a ridiculous rate is the difference. They have bonds that are up in the 7%, which they can't call. Oops, on their part. Always make your bonds callable, pay a little extra on that. But I love buying those because you got them cheap. We got them less than 100, which is the par price. They've appreciated above that. So yes, they just sit there and literally print money. I do not see any systemic challenge to any of the major car makers. Just because Tesla produced 50,000 EVs and everybody freaked out. So I don't care for the equity, but yeah, the bonds, I don't have any problem at all. It's kind of like General Electric bonds. I don't love GE stock at all, but GE is not going anywhere. So I'll take their bonds any day. All right, good point. Roblox, let's go back to RBLX. Here's your chart. Here to finish where we are sitting at right now is the black arrow. Excuse me, sitting here at 82, if you will. So it's come down even more so. This is yesterday's print. So really, when you look at it, the stock's in an uptrend, right? When you look at the 6450, it's had a lot of success, some congestion. It's powered higher here, probably overshot its true value. So it's here. So I think it's on a continuous trajectory up. I would not be surprised if a year from at the end of the year, it's $100. And a year from now, it's up like the 115, 120 range, which is, over 50% from where we are right now, right? So it's got that kind of power. It's a true ecosystem. It's a metaverse, meta universe, whatever. They have a fancy name for it, but people are actually like living, kids are creating stuff and like living in these like alternate worlds. So I know Apex likes to talk about the movie Ready Player One and how life may look like that. Yeah, it could. Ready Player One, part of that, part Wall-E. If you remember Wall-E back in the day, the big heavy set American that doesn't ever leave the chair. Everything's done for him. This could happen, right? We're kind of trending that way. So anyhow, Roblox is a buy is the point of all that. All right, we have 30 seconds to the open. Let me share that out and I will be right back with you. All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the on time, on target play of the day. We have 10 seconds to the market open here on Wednesday. Market's pretty flat across the board, but of your four panes, this is the S&P 500. You can see it right here, just holding at the 425 level. There is the open. I have one long for you that we're taking a look at. BACTX, not in love with it at all. Let's see. Breast cancer therapy, fully developed breast cancer therapy. So that's amazing, of course, and expanding into prostate and a couple other of cancers out there too for treatment. So good news story. You see the stock's up 10%. RBLX, if anything, this is a buy here. So we're not going to short into this, even though it meets all the short criteria. And over here at EDU. So we're going to look for an entry, and then I'll give you the storyline. So 886, 876 would kind of be the entry. It's already down below that. So I would really like to see this go a little bit higher before it goes lower. I'm going to switch over to another one, TAL, see if the entry looks any better. 2630, no. May get our entry into and LRN's the other one. We're actually going to go for the 3 board here. LRN for an entry. That one doesn't have the volume. So top high of the day, back over here to EDU. Again, we're looking for this short. 886 is the high of the day, which puts our entry at, why can't I subtract 10 this morning? 876, which is down here, which I like that. So if it clips that, this is short. Not in love with this story, but if you want to take it, the 876, get ready for that. You can set your tickers up. So what's going on here? The Chinese government basically cracked down, or a planned crackdown of private tutoring, which is all this stuff is. I know Apex, you do some private tutoring. Yeah, we can put Oracle over here. I hate to short something that big and strong as Oracle, but it is a short. You would not be wrong. So let's look at that. So you're looking at a $1. So 786, 77, 770, 760. You could probably enter this short. I'm not going to do it. So I would be comfortable entering it here at 77.90 with a 78.6. So what's that? 70-cent stop. So yeah, you can look at those numbers if you want. Over here, here's our entry point. I missed it, so we'll call it here in a second. But the China government's cracking down on these companies. These companies make a lot of money through private tutoring. The theory is that if they're not allowed to spend all this money on their current either 1 or 2 child. So there's your entry at 876. Short 886 is the high here of the day. Again, an EDU short. Let me get this drawn up here. Here's your big fat short arrow. There we go. And again, 10-cent stop. So it's got to go all the way down to your first is 866 down here at the bottom for your first R. So and then just busted out of it. So never mind. So there we are, 0 for 3 this week on trades. So no go there. So watch it continue to sell off now after that pop up. But there's your entry on Oracle if you want it. I'm not going to follow that. But if you do 77.20, your first R is down here, and then subtract $1.40 from that. So what's going on is they want to reduce. Yeah, EDU is going to go on to work. Look at that thing striping down. So the point here is, China had a 1-child policy until 2016. They opened that up to a 2-child policy at that time. And most recently, 2 weeks ago, they went to a 3-child policy. So you can have up to 3 children now, because a lot of people really didn't take them up. There was no appreciable effect after 5 years of the 2-child policy. So they opened it up to a 3-child policy. I don't know, maybe they might wake up someday and go, why is the government restricting the number of children? Right? So anyway, let families do what they want and finance it how they want, right? Kids are expensive. If you want to have a bunch, you can self-induce yourself into the poorhouse. If you choose, it's your choice, all right? But anyhow, the point is all of this tutoring, which goes on, which again, if here in the US, I have several, we have kind of a diverse neighborhood as far as, let's say, international influence. And a lot of the kids in the neighborhood go to school on Saturday. It's kind of what they do. It's like not even are you going to, it's like they are. right? I have some neighbors from Taiwan that we used to go to asked to go to the pool with on occasion. And it's like, don't ask on Saturday morning because they have school. And my kids are like, what? Yeah. Like Kobe says, it's the number of hours you put into something. So if they're studying math on Saturday mornings and my kids aren't, obviously over time, they're going to probably end up further ahead, right? So that's the massive tutoring that goes on. There's several companies that do that over in China, and they're being cracked down on. So did not work for our trade this morning. If you want to trade it on your own, though, you could still take it here. I think it's a short for the day. All right. Oracle, they missed their earnings and we're down 5%, but the company's too strong, I think, too short. So that's why you're not getting that big strike down like you saw over here in EDU. Okay, let's zoom out a little bit. So if you're in a trade, pull it up on your own systems here. So I'm going to switch out to take a look at what's going on out there. WNRS, that's a very speculative name on sports gambling. TQLB, also very speculative. MNMD, speculative, and so is TMRC. So again, the spec names are kind of leading the way here this morning. Don't really recommend any of those unless you really know what the storyline is and what you're doing. MNMD, we talked about that a month ago. Seems we talked about it in the 320s as well. Maybe it's more than a month since that's. Well, actually, let me get out to the month chart. So we were here, we talked about in the 320s, I think it was here, and then it dropped down, right, almost to 3. And it's just like, this is one of those things where in the investing world, you can look stupid before you look brilliant, and you can look stupid for a long time. So you really can't have feelings that about, how do I look today, because you just have to be right over the long term. So we were talking about it in the 320s. Dips down to 3, has this huge move up to 380, and it's been kind of range bound between 350 and 4 since then. But overall, if you went into it when we talked about it, you were down and then you were up a pretty significant amount there, 20%. Long term, yeah, I think this thing's going to just power higher, probably end up over $5 at some point. But it is speculative, right? And it's microdosing of LSD, right? That's LSD is illegal, right? So this microdosing, they're having to fight a whole bunch of political battles. But anyhow, it's interesting spec if you want it. All right, the Luckin Coffee in the green again. We got to pull up Luckin just because we can and take a look, right? So I said I needed it to hold 9. Yeah, it's holding 9-ish. Touched 950 pre-market this morning. It would be nice if it were closed in the 950 to 960 range, but starting to get love back. I sent out an article yesterday to one lucky Luckin investor. I'm just flipping through to find it real quick because I can't remember the exact headline, but the the article was about funding. And of course, I don't see it. But they got approved to get some international funding or something. So a lot more access to capital to continue to grow, which is a great news story for Luckin. All right, let's turn around and take a look about what's in the red today. Excuse me. Roblox down 10%. We knew about that. Clickstream taking a hit as well. AMC, that's a meme stock. Same with Clover Health. Neo that I talked about earlier is my favorite in the EV space. That's off today. Sony, Hero, some gaming names. So overall, I think these are light volume. So really, it's going to be a wait and see market until, oh gosh, look at this. EDU really flipped. So anyhow, not going to work there. Completely busted. Same with the TAL. Went screaming higher. Oracle looks like it's working. So crazy day. So let's go back to CNBC.com here and take a look at dividend growth investing. So make sure I have the right one. That does not appear to be the right one. Share. Nope. Maybe this is it. Share. What is going on? All right, got to clean some stuff up here on the desktop so we can get shared out. Share. All right, I don't have the green container around it, but it's showing that it shares. Give me a thumbs up if you can see it in the chat. But I'm looking at the CNBC page, not CNBC, but Google Chrome, the power of dividend growth. So it appears to be being shared out here. So what is the power of this? And again, I've talked to Apex about this. If you remember, gosh, 7 years ago, we had a phone call when there was a buddy of yours talking to you about this. And if you think of, conceptually, if a stock pays a 5% dividend, then if you own it for 20 years, the stock has literally paid for itself, right? Because you've gotten reimbursed 5% a year. So it's kind of like, well, if I can find a stock with 5% dividend and I hold it for 20 years, I know that basically the stock is free. Okay. Because whatever the stock is worth, even if I paid $40 for it, even if it's worth 20, I've made all my original investment back and now I have a free stock. And I'm like, well, that's more along the lines of a buy and hold philosophy of the gatherer instead of the hunter, if you will, for a hunt for the most total return out there. You're kind of just gathering a bunch of stocks and collecting dividends and buying more and really never selling. I'm telling you, that is a perfectly valid strategy. That is not my thing, but that is a perfectly valid strategy, especially if you are a very conservative, right? And you don't like making buy or sell decisions, because if you don't ever sell, you take out 50% of your decision making, right? Because you're only buying, so you don't care about selling. You scrutinize the buying decision and and stick with it once you have it. So, but paying out dividend, remember, it's a fixed amount. So pick a company out there. Let's pick Apple, and I will show you the Apple dividend, AAPL. Let's pick Dominion Energy. That pays a higher dividend and more fits with the theme. Okay, so on a stock that is worth $78, Dominion Energy pays a flat rate of $2.52 per share. And again, divide that by 4, and that's what you get paid quarterly. So that's the dividend that you're getting. That does not change. If you've seen my Excel spreadsheet where I talk about, here's all your holdings, here are all the dividends that are coming in, here's the number of shares, here's the income that your portfolio is generating on a quarterly/annual basis, that's all based on the dividend. The dividend yield changes every day because the stock price changes every day. So a simple yield calculation, if you picture a fraction, put the $2.52 up top, put the current stock price on the bottom, which is a moving target, and that gives you your yield. So it's yielding a 3.2%, but again, that changes. So if the stock goes up, say Dominion doubles, okay, we wake up, or right now while I'm talking about it, goes to $150 a share, the dividend is still $2.52. The yield would be cut in half. It would be 1.6%. So people are like, well, I got to sell it because it doesn't yield the right amount. It's like, well, the same money is coming in the door. The stock price is up, which you would probably think is a good thing. So don't cry if the yield goes down, right? So really understand the math behind it there. A lot of people don't. And again, if a stock price craters, you can see a yield go up over 5% and everybody's happy. And I'm like, well, it's hard to say the words I'm happy because the stock cratered, right? And you own it. So anyhow, something to think about there. Careful what you ask for. All right, dividend yield, dividend payout ratio are, so we talked about the yield. Dividend payout ratio is right here. And I say that, and why does it not have a payout there? Let me find a different one. That is a bad example. Let me do this one. All right, payout ratio, also a bad example. So we'll go back to the basics of the math. You take all the earnings in, and then what they pay out in the dividends is a payout ratio. So a good payout ratio is like 50%, right? If a company makes $1 per share and they pay out 50 cents a share for their dividend, pay that out to all the stockholders, that is a good. If you get up a good payout ratio, if you get up over 100%, that means they're actually paying out more than they're taking in as far as earnings. So that's a warning sign out there. All right. They do give you a math example if you want to go through that, and then special considerations. There are special dividends that go out in addition to regular dividends. So dividends come in quarterly for the most part, and then a company that has excess earnings can pay out literally an extra one on top of that, and you see that on occasion. Not recently coming out of 2020, but you do see that on occasion. So, all right, that's all I have for you today. So Roblox is at a buy. Let's I'm looking at another screen right now, RBLX. It was at 82 last time I saw. It's hanging out there at 81 today. I certainly wouldn't short it. But yeah, if you're interested in buying more, straight buy on Roblox out there. All right, that's all I've got for today. We'll see you guys back tomorrow on Thursday. Bye.